Welcome to Fairy Tale Access, where the head fairy's quest is to prove that fairy tales do exist in actual time rather than once upon a time. Together, we will unravel the heroes, young and old, who turn dreams into reality. These are the people who still believe in happily ever after. The discoveries will bend even our most cynical non-believers into believing in fairy tales. Welcome to Fairy Tale Access. Today we have author Anne C. Miles with Sorrowfish. If you love music and different things going on with music, you'll really enjoy this story. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. So calling in from Kentucky by Skype. How's the weather out there?
Hot.
Hot?
It's very hot. Hot and humid.
Wow. Yeah, the humid part's never good. So tell me how you came up with the story, The Call of the Lorica, and why the instruments that you chose.
Well, I chose the lute because that's the instrument that people normally think of when they're thinking about medieval music. And the story actually came from the idea of the cosmic DJ. So the cosmic DJ is an entity that speaks to us through the music that we hear in our head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really well done, how you had the story come about with witty movie lyrics. The main character, when she gets nervous, she comes up with lyrics to put things together. Yeah. That was really cute. You made her so human.
Thank you.
So what was your intent in writing the book?
I wanted to show that the hero's journey and the artist's journey are the same.
When did you come up with the story? How long did it take you to write?
I came up with the story in 1998. So it took a while for me to write. That was actually the world that I came up with. And I didn't start writing until 2017.
Oh, wow. What's your background?
I am a web developer and graphic artist.
Wow, you must be an avid reader because your language throughout the book was really well done. The thought patterns were really put together well, and the two stories played off of each other.
Thank you.
So why did you decide to go that way, into that whole realm?
My dream world is called Canard, and it sort of sprang fully formed into my head. But I knew that I had to have a person grounded in our world. So as to why, this is the only way I could do it.
So it's a whole coming of age type of novel too. Was there a certain group or age group that you were gearing towards when you wrote it?
No. I really feel like any age can read it. I hope so. I tried to make it clean.
It was definitely clean. It was witty. It was musical and lyrical. So I thought I thought maybe you were a musician because you knew so much about it.
Actually, I was not a musician. I started taking violin lessons when I started writing the book so that I could get some sense of musical terms and how to write about it.
Oh, that was a good idea. What other type of research did you do?
I studied Welsh. So Welsh is used in names and different words throughout the story. And so I studied Welsh, and then I studied violin, and that was a lot of work.
Wow. No, you did a great job. I really thought you had more experience with music.
Well, thanks.
And what about the place and where it takes place? Is there an important reason for this?
The word canard, if you know what that word means, is a joke. It's it has to do with truth and lies. So I named the word canard for a reason, and you'll have to keep reading to understand why.
All right, that makes sense. And what about where you're from, Kentucky? Did it play into the story in any way? Are there
Of
any
course.
elements? So what elements
Yes.
from Kentucky play into the story that you can share?
Every place in the story is real. So the antique shop, although it's smaller in real life than I portrayed it, was a real place, and it's a place that I love. But it actually closed the year after during COVID.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What other places from Kentucky are in the book that inspired you?
There's a restaurant in there that's really close to where my office was when I had an office. And let's see, there's a park. I actually made a map for Louisville, and then they got rid of the app that did it. But you can actually go to all the different places that I had in there. Yeah. The Height
that's
Institute.
So cool. Because it made me want to visit Kentucky, and not just for the Kentucky Derby, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We have caves. We have mountains. We have more shoreline than Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow. What was your favorite part to write in this series?
I loved writing Tabor. He turned into a really fun character for me to write. Yeah. Him and the gnomes.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
What about Sarah? Is she a lot like you, or is she a lot like somebody you know?
I'd say she's more like me than anyone else. Yeah. When I was writing, I was using words and phrases that I use. So, yeah, I'd say I'm probably Sarah.
What about any of the other characters or characters you might have killed off? So were those anybody that you disliked, or other characters that you liked that are people that you would see in Kentucky?
Those are all people, actors. So what I did was, when I had a character that formed in my head, it was normally someone that I had seen in a movie or some other acting type experience. Now, I will say that Jane, I didn't see him actually act. I know who it is, but it's the lead character from the Vampire Diaries.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's good news, but I haven't seen him act. But that's who it is.
Well, that made me like Sarah more, because the poor kid was always really nervous. She had like a nervous tick. And then she would come up with all these, movie titles that were real. And I was like, oh, wait, I haven't seen that. Oh, I get it. I know what she's talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you base your whole magic system on music. And that was
Yes.
really well laid out and believable.
Thank you.
Because at some points, you know, you're like, is this real or is she just losing it now?
Yeah.
And then it all tied together. So, and you won the 2019 Best Fantasy from Indies Today.
Yes.
So that must have been exciting.
I was very excited. Yeah.
Is this your first novel?
It is.
And how
Yeah.
many are going to be in the series?
That has been under debate. um, so I went from 3 to 8 to 5. So right now we're at 5.
Wow. Are they all going to be this jam-packed? This was like, well, this wasn't too bad. It was 350-ish pages.
Yeah, I just finished book 2. It's much shorter, but I still have a lot to add to it. So I think it'll probably be maybe half, 3/4 that size.
Oh, nice. All right. And so we know the landscape of the book. What's your favorite area in Kentucky that you included in the first novel?
I'm trying to remember if I talked about the river. I love the river. My office now is right next to the river, and I love seeing it. But I'm trying to remember. I don't think I talked about it. Willow Park, I mentioned in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sweet little park, which is in the Highlands, and I really like that area. So, yeah.
Nice. Will the Kentucky Derby make its way into any of your books?
It might. It's more likely that the St. James Art Fair would be in there.
Oh, that sounds nice. Is
Yeah.
that still going on this year?
I don't know if they're having it or not. I haven't heard.
Oh,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. So the I'm not sure how to pronounce this. The karst, Karst formations.
Uh-huh.
So were they from Madagascar?
Yes.
Oh, okay. How did you come up with that? Have you been to Madagascar?
No, I haven't. It's really funny. I was looking at odd places, odd formations, odd plant life, and I found singies. That's what they're called, is singies. I thought that was just wonderful and used it for my area.
Yeah, they're really interesting. And it's really because I went and looked up a lot of things, like the places that you mentioned or those rock formations. I love when authors can draw you into the story so you want to learn more about the places they're talking about. And how did you come up with, well, we know you came up with the fantasy world based on lies and truth. And all right, so tell us more about the whole like unfounded reporting or unfounded stories, especially because they pop up a lot in the story.
The unfounded?
Well, either unfounded, fabricated.
I don't know what you mean. I'm
So
sorry.
with the name Canard, Canard.
Oh, canard.
Canard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So why were like those like unfounded type of stories and like fabricated reports? Why was that important?
Oh. The idea that someone can go into a dream and come out. is not something that you would think would actually happen, right?
Right.
So if it did actually happen, no one would believe it. And it would be a con.
Oh, okay.
See? Because no one would believe you. That's why it's kind of hard.
Well, I think that's what happened to Sarah. I don't think she believed it herself at first,
No, she didn't.
and then she thought she was losing it. I like the way it bounced back and forth.
Thank you.
And what can we expect to see? Oh, what's the significance of the Storm King?
The Storm King is Jesus. Yeah. So my book is very Christian. And if you don't know that, hopefully it won't bother you. I don't want it to be a big problem for anyone. But I do want to be clear that the Storm King is Jesus. So, yeah.
I think it did a really good job because I think it has the Christian values throughout. But I don't think it was it wasn't on the preachy side in any way. It was more
Good.
of a fantasy thing that had really good morals throughout it. It was really nicely done.
I wanted to be C.S. Lewis in a skirt. So that's what I was going for.
So is Christianity a big thing in Kentucky? Are there a lot of churches or?
Yes. There are a lot of churches.
Is it part of the Bible Belt?
I don't know that it's part of the Bible Belt. Kentucky's very Catholic.
Oh, really?
Very Catholic. Yeah. And I'm not Catholic, but I love them, and but I don't think the Bible Belt is really anything that you could accuse us of because of all the bourbon and the horse racing and etc.
Yeah, the betting. There must be a lot of betting on the horse races, right?
Yes.
So that's a total contradiction.
Right. Well, at my church, we have a derby party, and Father Jim brings bourbon, and everybody has a pool, and we bet on the horses. So I'm an Anglican, and we're very similar to Catholic.
So can you tell me a little bit about that religion? It wasn't one I was really familiar with.
Anglican, it's older than Catholicism because most people think of Anglican as happening Henry VIII withdrew from the Catholic Church, but it's actually not right. Some people believe that Joseph of Arimathea came to England and founded the Anglican Church. And that's what I believe.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the service is very like the Catholic service. My husband was Catholic, and he complained that it's almost right. So, but the Catholic service has the priests and the Pope and all of that, and we don't. So we have priests, but they can get married. So,
well, that's good. Yeah, it was a really sweet twist throughout. So I really enjoyed it. And I liked that it was so approachable, and you didn't go into areas, like that a lot of fantasy writers, I think, fall into these areas where they're like really over the top about something, or they have to add a lot of sex to it. And it's like, but it just doesn't need it. I just want to know what's going on with this kid. I want to know if she's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So It was just really well done that way.
Thank you.
So congratulations.
Thanks.
And when's the next book out? Do you have 2 out or 3 now?
No, I just have the one.
Just one? Okay. So when are the others
Yeah.
coming? Because you said
Well,
there'd
I
be
just
5.
finished. Yes.
Okay.
I just finished book 2. So it's with the editor, and I'll be adding to it. It'll probably take me about 3 months to edit it, and then it'll come out. Yeah.
Wow. So how long did the second book take you to write compared to the first?
The first one took me 2 years, and this one took me 2 years. Yeah.
So what's
I think I wrote
Go ahead.
slower because of COVID. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's not bad, though. 2 years
thank
for the
you.
first one, and then less for the second. What was the biggest thing you wanted people to take away from the story?
I want people to know that making mistakes is okay. I guess that's the biggest. Sarah is Sorrowfish, and when you read the book, you start to understand what they mean. Basically, your mistakes become what form you, and learning from them means that you own them, and then you keep trying to become better. So, anyway, that's probably the biggest message. Yeah.
Well, I definitely think they'll get that from reading the first book. What's going to be going on? Can you give us any insights into what's happening in book 2?
Dane is now a bachelor, so he has to go and find all the refrains of the Lorica. So in the first book, he has a refrain and he's guiding him.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has to go find it. Yeah. So the rest of the books actually deal with that.
Oh, that's great. And what about the angelic type of creatures?
The Sinte.
Where did you get the
Yeah.
idea for them?
Okay. When I started writing, the refrain came to me first. So my outline was a poem, which sounds crazy, but that's what it was. And I had ideas that sort of came all at once. And the Sinte were part of that. And I found out later Tolkien actually had the same world or type of world in the Silmarillion. So that was neat. But I don't think that influenced me. So the Sinte were stars in my head. They were constellations, sort of. And I saw how they worked with the Chimera. So anyway.
Wow, you did a lot of research for this.
I did.
And you even took violin classes. That's dedication.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Were there any other parts of the book that you really wanted readers to take away with them?
I think classic movie. Because Sarah quotes, and when she quotes from those movies, I hope people go and look it up. Go figure out where those quotes are from.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many movies mentioned. You should just have like a playlist on your website.
I do.
Oh, you do? Where can we find that?
Sorrowfish.com. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was great. So you can check out some of the movies. You can see what her frame of reference was. It was just, it was a great way to like get introduced to different movies, music, you know, just what was going on in the world, and that whole, you know, coming of age and making mistakes and overcoming them and moving forward and, you know, being secure in who you are.
Yeah. So there's a couple of games at sorrowfish.com, and those are fun. And I did have my map up. I'll try to put it back up. Freaking watchers. And then the movies and the music both have playlists. But if you don't recognize a movie quote, I wasn't always able to get the movie quote on the website, but I did put the movie. So sometimes there's a trailer, but it doesn't have the movie quote in it. So,
Right.
Yeah.
That's okay. They have to watch the whole movie and find
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are recognizable, and, you know, it was really like a fun, joyful kind of fantasy.
Yes. And I feel very strongly that we need more of that.
Definitely. But thank you for sharing so much about how you got the final result. It's exceptional storytelling.
Oh, you're welcome.
And it was such a pleasure. It kept me up really late a couple nights, though, because it's almost,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's almost 400 pages.
Yes.
But I did love the glossary or the lexicon in the back that gave me more information. And it made things really come together.
Yes. Yes. And it started in 2001. That's important.
Yes, it's all in 2001. Very recent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you again. You have a wonderful rest of your week. And thanks again for sharing our story.
Oh, you're welcome.
Until next time, keep asking questions. And if you want a joyful, fun fantasy escape, Sorrowfish, The Call of the Lorica will definitely get you there. We'll see you soon.